Haile. Greetings and love, Selassie the First, His Majesty. Yes, welcome Rastafari family from I and I. You can see here. Actually, say hello. Blessed. Haile, Selassie the First, Haile Majesty. Give thanks and praises, family. Give thanks and a blessed celebration, a blessed coronation of I and I, Ivan Majesty, Empress Selassie the First, and greetings and love in the name of Kadamawi Haile Selassie the First, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, the elect of God, the light of His word, a triumphant ruler, Emperor Haile Selassie the First. It is a joy indeed to be present, even if not physically there with you, with I and I community of Rastafari in Lima, Peru. So give thanks, my brothers and sisters, and I received the message and the invitation from brother Noah, which also we saw each other last week in his region, and that was a blessing, and that was a celebration of life for I and I. So I know the time is not much, so I would like to go straight to the answer to your questions, which are definitely interesting, very, very important, and crucial for I and I Rastafari in this time. Before to start addressing the questions, I would like to hope and pray and chant that all of the item will have a fruitful and purposeful celebration, an upfulness of iriness and Rastafari heights of levity amongst all of I and I. So I pray that your gathering together or individually all over the country of Peru might be of spiritual intensity, of positiveness and closeness with the Almighty Emperor Haile Selassie I. So the first question is regarding the community of Pinnacle. When we look into Pinnacle now, we are addressing the first Rastafari community, independent, self-reliant, and completely off the grid, so to speak. Today, such a community we would call it off the grid. That means detached from the rest of society and detached from the system. So the question is, how was the Pinnacle community and how was organized? First of all, let I and I remember that it was Leonard Percival Howell, also called the Gong, also referred to as the first Rasta, that founded the community of Pinnacle. It was the year 1940 when Leonard Howell in person announced that he had found land available to establish, to set up the first major Rastafari community. So Leonard Howell bought this land and thought that this was going to be his dream, his vision, more than a dream. His vision put into reality. So he bought the land and he said that 1940 would start with the beginning of this community of Pinnacle. The news, the announcement was given at a gathering, actually. It was the night of Ethiopian Christmas, so that was the night between the 6th and the 7th of January 1940, and Leonard Percival Howell invited Rastafari brethren, sisters, man, woman and child, families, to go and relocate up in Pinnacle. What happened next? It happened that the voice, the rumor is spread fast, just like a telegram. And it went from yard to yard, from place to place, and many Rastafari brethren and sisters from the city, from the town, from the countryside, they sold all their belongings, including the house, including the furniture, their goats, their animals, everything they had. They sold it and they relocate up to Pinnacle. So people start to go to Pinnacle. This is what happened. People start to travel towards Pinnacle without even announcing their arrivals. So you would see in the morning new houses built there where there was nothing the night before. So the houses were literally, being built during the night, and people started to make Pinnacle happen. Yes. So 1940, we are looking at the first year of Pinnacle, and it was the starting of this community. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because the first spring it was quite okay, but there was no community built as yet, meaning that they had to build everything from scratch. Pinnacle is a very difficult place where you can build. It's a very difficult place to farm because the territory, the ground is almost entirely rocks. Yeah, it's like rocks that you can also excavate into them, you can dig, but there is very little farming land. So basically the family had to find a way in order to start to plant the first crops. So the first spring was okay, The summer started to be a little bit difficult because the water sources, they started to dry out. Winter was very, very wet. The winter between 1940 and 1941 was a very wet one. So a lot of rain, and consequently started to have flu and fever and some illnesses, some medical conditions. The community had its own doctor. The community had 20 cooks, 20 chefs cooking for the family every day. So 20 chefs were cooking for the Rastafari brethren and sisters every day, every single day. There was an open air kitchen, and they were providing food for the community. What happened now is that the crops were not ready as yet. So the first year was difficult for Pinnacle because the vegetables, the crops, was not ready as yet. By the time that the crops started to get ready and so they could start to harvest them, then everything went much, much smoother. Pinnacle existed between 1940 and 1954. So we are looking at 14 years of existence of Pinnacle. Pinnacle was the largest community, not only Rastafari community. It was the largest independent, self-reliance community in pre-colonial Jamaica. In colonial Jamaica, pre-independence. So, in other words, there has never been anything like that. Pinnacle was an example of autonomy. What happened? It happened that in few years, Pinnacle became very, very strong economically, very, very strong in selling their crops. They started to have their own market where they were selling the crops, and the people was coming to sell the crops at their own market. So Pinnacle became a point of reference for the entire community. So we're not only talking about Rastafari, but we're talking about the entire population of the valley and of the village around there. They came to Pinnacle to buy and to sell. So Pinnacle became totally the fulcrum. It became very, very important, the central point of that region. We have stories of many elders that they would go, from the town up to Pinnacle on Saturday morning market to buy the crops, as well as many others that they would leave during the night, in the Friday night, to arrive on Saturday morning and sell their crops at Pinnacle market, right? So it became very, very rich. It became very, very important, to the maximum extent of having 5,000 people. Yeah, so the peak of population was 5,000 people. Yeah, so we went from few tens of people up to 5,000. What happened is that the police and the establishment did not like Pinnacle, so they started to raid with the police. Pinnacle had different raids, but the last one, 1954, was the final raid, where the houses were burned down to the ground, including Leonard Howell house was burned down to the ground, was destroyed. Pinnacle was completely set on fire, and we lost so much also documents, literature, because Leonard Howell used to have many books where he would write, his philosophy and his documents, his memories. That is all gone. That is all gone because of Pinnacle last ride, 1954. That was the end of Pinnacle. Few people kept living there. Very few people kept living there, but it was always less, and there was not the same vibe and the same activity of the years before. So Pinnacle remained a very, very important example of the fact that we as Rastafari, we can make things happen. We as Rastafari, we can definitely completely be independent, but we need to work very hard. The workers, the brethren, the sisters in Pinnacle, they were working hard, very, very hard. They had to create farming land where there was no farming land, there was only rocks. They had to bring the water, through channels, and natural pipes to the farming land in order to water the crops. So it wasn't easy, but the result of all the hard work was amazing. The result was incredible, was something that left everybody speechless. They could not even understand how did that happen. How is possible that a group of Rastafari make this happen? So the first steps that Pinnacle had to do in order to establish the community were to create an economy. First thing was to create an economy. First thing was to build a house and then start planting the crops. That was the first thing, essential. In order to plant the crops, you need to farm the land, and then you need to wait for the crops to be ready. Until the crops are ready, Leonard Howell was providing with some food. They were buying crops from the other farmers nearby. But when the crops started to be ready and they could harvest them, then the economy started to go very, very fast and very, very well. Yeah, so Pinnacle was growing vegetables, they were growing ganja as well, and they were selling vegetables and ganja, but not only. In Pinnacle there were artisans. In fact, the first shop in Pinnacle was a shoemaker. So somebody that fix the shoes, make the shoes, and also fix up the shoes. When your shoes are broken, you go to them. So that was the first shop in Pinnacle, a shoemaker. And then they had a doctor there on the land. He was a doctor that came from Kingston in order to live in Pinnacle. So he totally relocated on Pinnacle ground and remained there throughout the years. And he was curing the people, because obviously a community needs doctor, needs expert, as well as carpenters, as well as plumbers, as well as farmers, builders. All these kind of works, they are needed. And then need people that can teach the youths, so teachers, and a variety of different occupation and jobs was there present on Pinnacle ground. But the first thing is to build a house, create an economy, and have a doctor. So these are the steps that we as Rastafari should follow, and we should take example out of that. First we need to build our house. What does that mean? What is the house? The house is a presence. So we need to establish our presence anywhere we are. Creating a group, creating an organization, an association, working independently with other Rastafari, but we need to create our presence, right? And then we need to create an economy somehow. And this is internal and external economy, in order to make things grow, and in order to have the possibility also to perform our other activities, like music and art and literature, spiritual activities. But we need an economy, and then we need to take care of our inner self. So we need doctor, or we need specialists. We as Rastafari, I need doctors, I need specialists, I need herbal medicine, herbal doctors, physician. This is the kind of energy I need as a community. Next question is, which is the message for Coronation in 2021, Ethiopian 2014, for the community of Rastafari in the south of the world? Give thanks, Haile Majesty. The message for the community is a very strong and a very crucial one. The message is that this is the time in which we need to manifest messianic nature. I as a Rastafari need to realize the potential we have. And I potential is messianic. I potential is Christ-like. I are the Christ man, the Christ woman, the Rasta man and the Rasta woman. This is I potential. So it does not make sense to celebrate the Messiah, King Messiah, in one day, but then we forget about what is really our job in the daily life. Our job is to let our messianic nature manifest. When I say messianic nature, it's not something transcendental up in the sky. Messianic nature is our true and divine nature. So I need to be present as Rastafari on this earth and manifest to the world what the human being can really achieve.